Well, how's it going? Welcome. Day 3 of the Master Cleanser Fast. And feeling pretty good today. I've noticed my lymph nodes are getting a little smaller now. So that's a good thing. Did that saltwater flush again today out walking in the garden. And it's kind of a strange thing to get used to, drinking salt water. But get used to it. If it's warmed up, it's a lot better, I think, than trying to do it cold. But anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about this fast now. And then I'm going to read a little bit more from Stanley Burroughs' book on the Master Cleanse. And every episode, I'm going to read a little bit more out of that book. But I got to thinking today, one of the many things that's really good about this fast is it will kick a lot of addictions that you may have, food addictions, alcohol, drugs, things like that. And that's a good thing, especially people that are trying to lose weight and diets just aren't working. It seems like it's never looked at as an addiction because a lot of this processed food is engineered. You know, there's scientists behind a lot of this stuff, and it's engineered to be addictive and to cause your body to have cravings and things like that. So to actually be able to do something like this fast to kick those addictions in your body and just get rid of them so that when you do start to eat again, you have a whole different way of looking at food. That's what I find when I come off of this. I'm very protective of my body, what I put in it again. So it's just a lot of stuff that I don't eat, but as, we go along, we start eating stuff. And that's why I like doing this fast, because I get to that point where it's like, all right, it's time to kind of clean out again. But it kind of restarts your body in a way, kind of a reboot, which I think is really beneficial. So if you're somebody that's having, challenges losing weight or trying to kick an addiction to something else, this might be a good thing for you to try. And it teaches you discipline too, because it takes a lot of discipline. I don't find it real difficult once the fast is underway. It's just kind of the routine. You're making the mixture, and just kind of that's what you do during the day. So you're not spending time, making meals or anything like that. So it kind of gets you into this really interesting routine, to where you just don't think about a lot of other things maybe that were keeping you distracted in your life, or emotional eating and things like that. So that's a strength I think a lot of people can use to their advantage, is that discipline that maybe they didn't have before. So it's kind of like doing a race, and you want to finish it. So I'm going to read a little bit out of the book. Like I say, I like to keep these videos kind of short, 10 or 15 minutes. Just kind of check in and let you guys know how I'm doing. So we're going to continue on. We're still in chapter 1. And this is called A Letter from One Who Tried It All. Missing a Meal Won't Hurt by Herman Schneider. Since the days of Jesus Christ, who fasted for 40 days, men and women have abstained from food for many reasons: for health, for political ends, and for spiritual enlightenment. However, the average person not familiar with fasting believes he will certainly die if he misses a meal. When you hear of a person dying after being lost in the woods or at sea for 2 or 3 days, it was not lack of food that caused his death, but it was panic and fear that killed him. Many people in fairly good health can go for many days without food, but the body must have water. Although there is a fast called the dry fast, which employs dry bread and no liquid. However, this type of fast cannot be endured for too long a period. There is a general disagreement in the health field on the best way to detoxify the body. The hygienists, who are mostly followers of Dr. Herbert Shelton, the very capable exponent of fasting, using only distilled water and enemas are taboo. Dr. Shelton and other hygienist doctors have fasted thousands of people, many regaining their health as a result of the fast. Of course, after the fast, it was necessary for them to follow a healthful way of life. The hygienists are strict vegetarians with an emphasis on raw foods and proper combinations. Dr. Wachter and Dr. Areola advocate fruit and vegetable juice if fasting is needed. In Europe, naturopaths use the vegetable broth and vegetable juice fast rather than the water fast. The above doctors also employ colonics and enemas, these being vital for the success of the program. The purpose, in their opinion, is to rid the body of the toxins loosened by the cleanse. 13 years ago, I had an extremely high blood pressure. I didn't feel too well, so I went to the doctor. He gulped and asked me, "Your blood pressure is 200 over 120. He told me that he would start me on medication, but I did not think that drugs were the answer for me, so I asked him, "How long do I have to stay on drugs?" He replied, "Your hypertension will get progressively worse, so you will have to stay on the medication forever." He continued, "In 30 years of practice, I have only had 2 patients able to discontinue the medication." I was not pleased with his answer, so I said, "You are looking at your 3rd patient who would get off the medicine." He looked at me and shrugged his shoulders as if to say, "He is insane." He said, "I have hundreds of patients on medication for high blood pressure, and you are the only one who makes a fuss." I took one drug for a week, but it made me dizzy, so he changed the medicine. He gave me one drug for high blood pressure and another for nerves, which slowed me down. Then another drug to pep me up from the drug that was slowing me down. This is how this works. They're really into just selling drugs to people, for the most part. Changed program. I decided this program is not for me, so I headed for Dr. Shelton in San Antonio, Texas. They took all my drugs and threw them away and put me to bed to start my fast. I never dreamt I would go without food for so long, but my fast lasted for 21 days on just distilled water. It is during the fast that conditions a person may have, but is not yet aware of, show up as the body begins throwing off the poisons. The man fasting in the next room passed gallstones on his 24th day. He never knew he had gallstones before his fast. He really suffered until he passed his stones. After long years of study in natural healing and herbology, I now know he could have gotten rid of the gallstones in a much more pleasant way using apple juice, olive oil, and lemon juice. I, myself, had mild reactions outside of extreme weakness. My biggest problem was painful cramps caused by gas in the intestines. I also had some bleeding as the bowel tried to empty itself with no bulk inside to help it move. My fasting problems would have been much less had they given me an enema, but the hygienists do not believe in enemas, laxatives, or herbs. They say nature must take its course. The faster is kept in bed most of the time, using one's energy to detoxify. During the 21 days of fasting, I lost 21 pounds, which was gradually gained back during the rebuilding process, which should equal the fasting time. So I had to stay off my job for 42 days. The fast was not pleasant, although you lose your desire for food after the 3rd day, but the results were very pleasant and made it worthwhile. My blood pressure was now 120 over 80, which is perfect. Since this fast 13 years ago, I have fasted many times on vegetable juices and used colonics as advocated by Dr. Walker. The fasts were a short duration, last from 2 to 5 days. About a year ago, I went to a chiropractor for an adjustment. We talked for a while, and he told me he was on a book called The Master Cleanser by Stanley Burroughs, a natural healer for some 40 or more years. The cleanse starts with an herbal laxative tea by both morning and evening. If this is not sufficient to clean out the intestinal tract, he advises a sea salt water wash. These steps are necessary to remove the toxins loosened by the lemon juice cleanse. I was then to drink between 6 and 12 glasses of lemonade, which consists of lemon and maple syrup in proper proportions, with a small amount of cayenne added to wash out the mucus loosened by the cleanse. I stayed on the master cleanse for 12 days, during which I exercised, jogged, worked, and felt stronger each day as the cleanse proceeded. I gradually tapered off the cleanse with juices and broth for 3 days. During the entire time, I was never hungry. The most important part of the cleanse or any fast is knowing how to come off the fast, allowing the body to gradually adjust itself to handling solid food again. Improper procedures can cause illness and even death. Since my weight was stabilized when I started the cleanse, I only lost about 4 pounds in 12 days. People who are overweight will lose much more. Mr. Burroughs' program calls for a vegetarian diet. So this part of the program was easy for me to accept because I have been a vegetarian for years, using mostly raw foods. I go on this cleanse 2 or 3 times a year. I just read in Linda Clark's book that she has used this cleanse for years. Mr. Burroughs says that it's perfectly safe to stay on the master cleanser even up to 40 days, as the lemon, maple syrup, and cayenne pepper act as both a cleanser and a body builder. From my point of view, the Burroughs cleanse gave me the best results, allowing me to be active and energetic through the entire period. I haven't been back to the medical doctors, but my blood pressure is still normal after all these years. So, that's just a little story there. And this book's got a number of different stories, personal stories by people, which kind of helps people that had maybe some same issues that you were having. That's why I like to suggest that people find some forums on this fast. I did that before I did the Master Cleanser. And you can hear all these different people, and you kind of see the same things. They'll talk about getting into it and how long things take. Some people are a lot more toxic. So I remember reading one gentleman, he said he was basically in bed for 5 or 6 days. He just couldn't do anything. And around the 6th day, he started feeling a little better. By the 7th day, felt really good. And 8th day, felt good. He was able to finish the fast. But just didn't know if he was going to make it. So if you're very toxic, then yeah, especially if you have like caffeine addiction, things like that, you might suffer from basically withdrawals and headaches and things like that. But you've got to remember why you're doing it. And to finally rid yourself of these toxins and to mentally strengthen yourself that you can actually do this, I think will help you on the road to recovery, to a better lifestyle. So there's a lot of different things that come out of a fast, not just the physical part, but a lot of spiritual and mental things I find that come out of it. And also, too, I've noticed my dreams have gotten a lot more intense, which is another benefit of the fast. And you think about, in the Bible, they talk about people going in the desert and fasting and having these visions and things, that maybe that's part of it, that it kind of unlocks this pathway in your mind into your subconscious and other parts of your mind. But the dreams are pretty interesting, and no, they're not all about food. I just find they're a lot more vivid, almost like a lucid type of dreaming, and very detailed, and I tend to remember them when I wake up. So I look forward to going to sleep, seeing what I'm going to dream about that night. So anyway, just kind of wanted to give a little update on what's going on. Again, my lymph nodes are starting to go down, and they basically disappear where I can't feel them anymore in my neck. So I figure in the next few days that will probably happen, and the ones in my arms are starting to go down a little bit too. So I hope this little series is helpful to those that have been thinking about maybe doing a fast. To kind of give you some insight from somebody that's actually going through it. And I'm planning on doing it for 20 days. So I've got about 17 more days. And I'll starting to put some links down below too, where I get my maple syrup and some other information you can look up. So, and the place that I get it, they actually have a whole kit, so you can get the syrup and you can get the sea salt comes with it, and the cayenne pepper and the laxative tea, so it all comes together. And they have a book. It's not this one. They used to have this book that you could buy, and now they have a different book. But I had somebody put a comment on one of my previous episodes that said, you could go online and find the contents of the book that way if you want to do that without buying the book. But I'm kind of old school, so I like the physical book myself. So that's why I always like to buy it. But anyway, so I hope this has been helpful. And I'm going to finish my tea and call it a night and see what kind of interesting dreams I have tonight. So you guys go out there and have a good one. And if you'd like to find out some more information, you can go to tuckersurvival.com. And I'll probably be putting a page up there all about the fast. But you can also get to links to our other shows, News from the Bunker. We've got all the episodes on there. We turn those into podcasts as well. We've got some news articles we put up, things like that. So again, that's tuckersurvival.com. And with that, I will bid you a farewell, and I will see you on the next episode. So you guys go out there and have a good one.
Survival Health is brought to you by Tucker Survival and produced by MBJ Media Services.